Hi guys, this is Dr. Sattar from the YouTube channel Doctor to Help. Hope this video finds you in good health wherever you are. Thank you for joining me today. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you get value out of it. If you have never seen any of my video or partially saw it, please, I beg you to see this video all the way to the end, because together you and me can, instead of making a small ripple in the pond, we can probably create a wave in the ocean and change a little one's world and maybe an adult's world as well. All right, let's talk about dyslexia. Did you know that 40 million people in America have dyslexia, but only 2 million people are aware of it? Yes, what this means is all the people walking around you, 1 out of 5 people have dyslexia. What does dyslexia stand for? Dyslexia is a learning disability. They have problem learning to read and write. In a normal person, in a normal brain, there's 3 areas that the brain uses to process reading and writing. In a dyslexic person's brain, it's only 1 area, and this area is on your left side of the brain. Normally, language is mostly processed in the left side of the brain. In a dyslexic person, they depend mostly on the right side of the brain. What that means, that this processing starts from the left side of the brain, crosses all the way over to the right, and then travels to the front, to the frontal lobe, where the processing finishes. So for normal person, whatever time they're needing to process it, for a dyslexic person, it takes about 5 times longer. So imagine you are walking and enjoying a walk in the wild. And for a dyslexic person, it's like giving them a 20 to 30 pound sledgehammer and telling them, go carry it for a mile, or maybe even 10 miles. That's how a dyslexic person feels at school. For those who know me, you probably know that my son has dyslexia, and I probably gave it to him. I was never tested and I'm not confirmed, but just by reading and everything that I learned in the last 6 months since it was confirmed that he has it, I went back and thought about all the things that happened in my life, and I realized I probably have dyslexia too, and I gave it to my son. When my son was in pre-K, before he started elementary school, one of the teachers kind of told me something negative about him, and I did not like it. In a polite way, she was saying he was slow. And I was talking to the principal. I was like, she said this, and I did not like it. In good days, he would know all his alphabets. In bad days, he may say it wrong. So I don't know what's going on, but he knows his alphabet, but he sometimes gets it jumbled up. The principal was like, oh, don't worry about it. He's just a boy. He probably is out of focus. Don't worry about it. Over the years, I felt that something was wrong. And I kept on talking to his teachers. I kept on talking to his doctor, my colleagues, my nurses, my friends. I was asking them for advice, because my daughter, who was already reading and writing at 4, compared to my son, who still didn't know all his letters when he was 5, I was really worried. I even had child intervention assessors to come and check on my son. And they came and they had like 10 different games that they made him do one after another. They gave instructions and he made those things, like building things and all that step by step, and he did fine. And they said, oh, he's fine. His doctor also did the same thing. She would ask questions and he would answer. He had a little bit of delay in speech, but otherwise he was able to communicate. And he was actually a monkey. I put him in gymnastics as soon as he could walk. And he would hold somebody's hand and walk up quickly on their chest and do a flip. He would sometimes go up on somebody's shoulder and do a flip from there, and he used to scare everyone. So he was very physical. And I was very physical myself. I love and kiss my children all day long in every excuse I can, and I tell them, I love you. my son is very physical himself. He's touching people when they're talking and poking them on their stomach. So he would get into trouble. Once he went to elementary school and in kindergarten, he got in trouble. His teacher would put a hula hoop around him and tell him, this is your space. You're going to remain in this space. And sometimes she would even put him in a corner of the room, separated from the group, so that he would learn his space. I did not like that. One time he was in that hula hoop for a whole week, and school was going to end in 2 to 3 days. And finally, she took that hula hoop off. But the amazing part of it is she was the best teaching. She had the best teaching skill in that whole school. She was famous for her teaching. She had sight words, cards in a ring, and I was one of the parents who always go late to pick him up. And every time I went to pick him up, she was working with him with sight words on that ring, flipping them and going over them. And she would give him different techniques to remember them. So every day when I went to school, I was afraid to picking up when I was afraid that I will hear another complaint about him. One time, a 5th grader, he repeatedly punched him in the stomach. Why? Because he cut him in the line in lunchtime. And he was upset. With dyslexic students, they get very frustrated. They get easily frustrated because they're already working so hard at school. So they get frustrated. Sometimes they feel very dumb. All right? Peers may be making fun of them because they're not reading right. They're not writing well. I will actually attach another link for you to look at it. And I cried when I saw that video clip. You all must see it. So my son, apparently that boy cut in front of him and he was upset. Why was this so unfair to him? And he repeatedly punched. And the boy said, if you don't stop, I'm going to report to your teacher. And he got sent to the principal's office. Another time he got sent to the principal's office because he was in a cafeteria, something happened, and he burst out in crying spell. And the cafeteria teacher could not figure out what was going on. So she asked him several times, why are you crying? You need to do this. Move, get up, go to your class. And he was just crying. He would not get up. He was just crying like a broken-hearted person. And the teacher sent him to the principal's office because he will not listen to her. And his actual teacher was actually feeling sad about that. She said, I would not have sent him to the principal's office. After those 2 incidents, he never got called to the principal's office, but he was in the hula hoop quite a bit. And when his school year ended for that year, I actually saw a picture that was on his locker, where his hand was behind him, and he was standing like this, like a very sad, ashamed person. And it was written on top, I will learn my space. I don't know about you. The only reason I never complained was because the teacher was so good in teaching. I did not hear him really having learning problem that year. But as soon as he went to 1st grade, right about the middle time, the teacher came and told me he is 2 grade level down in his reading. I was shocked. I was like, how come I never knew about this before? So I tripled or maybe even extended the time I was reading with him like 4 times. And very quickly he did recover. I think over a month or 2, he was back on his level. But something was always off. So next year he goes to 2nd grade, and his handwriting is still very poor. It is all over the place. It will start here, go all the way up and then down. He cannot write in a straight line. He cannot read. He will replace some words, some letters. And I was like, do you have a vision problem? Are you having problem reading because you're having an eye problem? I was totally frustrated. We even took him to an eye doctor, and they said, yeah, he has a lazy muscle. We need to patch him up on the one side and we kept on doing that eye patching, and he got better. And one time I was shocked. The doctor said, "Oh, his eyesight is fine. He doesn't need to come to see me anymore. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and I'll see him if he ever have problem again." And I was like shocked. I was like, so he doesn't have any vision problem? So why is he having problem reading? Second grade went by. He had a very sweet teacher who always said, "Oh, he's just a boy." Yes, I kept on hearing from everyone, "He's just a boy." And in my gut feeling, I kept on thinking, this is something wrong. Everybody kept on saying boys are 6 months behind. This is normal. But to me, my boy was like 2 years behind from my daughter, who was reading and writing at 4. So I was like, I don't know. So when second grade went by, I didn't really hear any problem about learning disability. He went to third grade, and now, as soon as he started his third grade, he has a reading specialist for a teacher. And guess what she tells me? She tells me, "I think your son has dyslexia." And I was not surprised. And she told me, "You can go through the normal procedure. In the school, it will take 2 months. So if you request them to do the evaluation, it will probably done in 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more." By 4th week, we did an assessment, and yes, he did have dyslexia and a very high IQ. Yes, his IQ was very high. I forgot to tell you, in that kindergarten class where he used to be punished all the time, one time I got a letter, and I was very much afraid. That letter came from school. I thought he was being thrown out. So I opened it with all the fear in my heart and found that he was selected gifted and talented. I was so shocked. I read it 3 times. And then I gave it to my husband. He was surprised too. We kept on looking at each other, and I said, "Is that really what it say, that he was gifted and talented?" It didn't make sense to me. Later on, I found out it was because of math. He was very good in math. And the whole test was done on the computer. So there was not really much reading involved. He could hear all the stuff on the computer and answer them. So that makes sense today, because dyslexia is on reading and writing. When you hear it, you're kind of bypassing that, right? But guess what? If you do a multi-sensorial technique in teaching your dyslexic child, their left side of the brain will become more efficient, and they will be able to help them in reading, and that processing time will come down. So you do, as parents, have to work a little bit harder with your child. But if you use the right technique, you can do it. What are the techniques we can use? You can use visual technique. Visual. You can do audio visual, so you're looking at things when you're reading, and you're learning from visual sensory system. You're also hearing it, that helps. And third, it can be pictorial or graphic. So all these different techniques, if you use on a dyslexic child, they will actually improve, and they will decode the reading and start doing much better, and they will start reading. So if you catch this early enough, guess what? You are changing that child's world. I'm going to give you some statistics. About 35% of dyslexics drop out of school. The adolescent people who are in the rehab for drug and alcohol, 50% of them are dyslexic. In juvenile detention, adolescent juvenile detention, about 60 to 70% children are dyslexic. Now I'm going to tell you the other end. About 35% entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 40% of self-made millionaires are also dyslexic. Dyslexic people are very creative. They have good gifts. They can have good imagination. They are creative. They can be artists. They can be painter. They can be inventor. Think about Leonardo da Vinci. he was dyslexic. They can be very creative. All of you probably have an Apple phone somewhere in your pocket or in your home. Guess who created Apple? Steve Jobs. Johnny Ive, who designs Apple, was also dyslexic. Can you imagine anyone smarter than Steve Jobs? How about Albert Einstein? Yes, he was dyslexic too. This picture, all these people in this picture have one thing in common. They are dyslexic. So dyslexic people are very good in creating. They're good in supporting children, especially teachers who went through this, psychologists. They went through this, so they went through all that obstacle to help you. So they know how hard it is for dyslexic children to go through learning. So they are very supporting when they teach their children. Third, healthcare. They are very good in healthcare. They're good doctors, they're good nurses because they have a lot of empathy. Same thing. Fourth, they're very good in business. Anybody knows Richard Branson? He opened more than 400 companies, right? And he is a billionaire. He has more than $5 billion. So many people are so creative. They have changed the world, right? So think about all those dropouts, the people who are in juvenile detention. If you can change their world and make them creative and bring them out to embrace all their creativity, their power, guess what they're going to do in this world? They're going to change it for a better place. Do you know that study shows that in the next 10 to 20 years, 50% increase in demand is going to be in creativity. And that means IT and creativity. With all the changes that technology has brought in, dyslexia is not a big issue. We just need to find the right technique to teach those kids the right thing to do. So you and I can change this world. So please watch this video all the way to the end. Share it with everybody you can and verbally tell them, this is important. You need to learn so you can change the world. So let us all do that together for the dyslexic kids. Dr. D. Rosa Kiosk said a very important thing. Dyslexic child is born to stand out. Don't force them to fit in. Thank you for listening to this video. I love you all. See you next time. Like and subscribe if you like it. Take care. Bye-bye.